Hey guys, Coach Chad here. Today I'm working on some ATG split squat stuff, and I want to talk a little bit more about why we do this, why you're seeing more and more people doing this in the club. And it's not just for leg strength, as one might assume. You know, thinking of it more like a general split squat or a Bulgarian split squat, which we can use for developing quad and glute strength. But the ATG split squat's actually much more than that. It has a much deeper purpose and a much deeper meaning as to why I'm incorporating this into programming, why people are incorporating it to their programming. So the very first one is going to be actual range of motion. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to increase range of motion in the trailing leg. Now, today I'm using an 18-inch box, which is quite high, but it allows me a lot of room to play with my position. And also, I've been suffering since the CIC with some knee pain, so I've had to modify a lot of my training, so I haven't been able to squat or do any variations like that. So with an elevated surface, I have less body weight on me, or I have less resistance, so there's not as much pain in the knee, and I can actually train through a great range of motion and still work on my hip flexibility at the same time, which has been a bit of a challenge over the last month or so. So either way, when you're in this position, you can see when I come down, what I'm focusing on is keeping that back leg as straight as possible, getting that nice big hip flexor stretch on the back while contracting the glute. So you can see there's two things happening here. One is that I'm gaining range of motion, or at least really trying to get functional range of motion out of the hip flexor in that front split variation, and then also tuning into the glute. Again, so many people can't connect and contract their glute on command and can't really necessarily use these muscles properly. So while you're doing this, you're connecting contractibility of the glute while getting, so on the posterior side, and then the anterior side, you're working on range of motion and stretching mobility under load, okay, which is in this case my body weight. Now, the next thing I think is really important about the ATG split squat is the fact that we're working on resilience and strength in that front knee in great ranges of motion. So you'll see that when I'm doing this exercise on the box, what I do is I come down with a flat foot as far as I can, driving that back leg straight. Then I get to kind of my end range of my hip flexor here, and then I just shift forward, pushing off my back leg up into my toe, stretching my toe out a little bit, getting even deeper ranges of motion here, and trying to create resilience amongst my knee joint, or in my knee joint, through this great range of motion, which is something that most of us never ever do. If you think about it, how many times, you know, maybe in sport might you be in this position? Could be frequently, right? Or you either avoid it because you don't have strength and mobility in this position. And that's one of the beauties of the ATG split squat, is that you really get to play with range of motion and strength through that range of motion, which I can't reiterate enough how important that is. And the only reason I'm going up on my toe here is that it allows me to get into deeper flexion of the knee. And you can see how my hamstring is fully engulfing my calf. That's what I'm trying to do at the same time as I stretch that back trailing leg, stay nice and tall, squeeze the glute. So there's so much value that we're getting out of this one movement. And it's not, you have to think about it not as an exercise like a Bulgarian split squat, which is very loaded, very high contractibility. This is a very different movement for that purpose. So it's more like the RDLs that we put in for stretching and mobility purposes, is that we're trying to create awareness of position and strength through range of motion while we're increasing range of motion. So that's what we do with the loaded RDL in 3 different positions. That's what we do with the ATG split squat. So you guys are welcome. This is such an amazing warm-up to put inside of your training. So by all means, do that before class, jump in, get some ATG split squats done, or even after class would be a really fantastic place to put them. So again, experiment, play, have fun with the movement, and have fun with your body and human movement in general, and just explore different positions, okay? So maybe 3 different reasons why the ATG split squat is a very cool and beneficial exercise to put into your training. Thanks, guys.